Well, you may feel like there's a wall between you and God right now. You might even describe it as a stronghold, something that's just got a grip on you that's keeping you from living a life of abundance. Well, my next author, Wendy Cohen, is the author of Freedom, True Freedom Lasts Forever. Welcome, Wendy.
I'm so happy to be here, Suzanne.
Wendy, I want to ask you what overall, if you were to hand someone your book in 30 seconds to tell them what the basic message is of your book.
When you love God with all your heart, mind, soul, and spirit, and you trust him, the way it says in John 6:29, when you trust him completely and you believe on the one whom God has sent, the Son, any problem you have in your life comes under the authority of Jesus Christ. And if you have been demonically possessed or oppressed or suffered and been abused in your life, and you surrender it with a completion without holding on to anything, you just let it go into Jesus, becomes his to carry. It becomes his to carry on the cross, and it is removed from your heart, mind, soul, and spirit, and you're healed at that moment of release.
When you talk about freedom now, it sounds like you're talking about forgiveness.
You know, forgiveness is a major part of freedom. When you hold something against somebody, it says in scripture that you're put in prison, and it's true, but when you hold something against somebody, your mind goes round and round and round and round in circles. And it's like you're a rat in a maze and you can't get out. What happens when you forgive is you open the door of that maze and you say, God, this is yours to handle. This is not mine. I trust you with this. I'm going to focus on you, Jesus. I'm going to focus on your love. I'm not going to focus on the hurt that happened to me. This person is yours. I lift him, or this situation, I lift him up to you. I give him to you. I declare your victory over him. I will have nothing to do with that anymore. I turn all my attention back to you. All I'm going to do is pray blessings for that person now. When you reach that point, nothing that has been bothering you about that person can stay. Instead, you're filled with God's compassion, you're filled with God's love, and he shows you how to pray the proper prayers to bring that person to redemption. It may or may not work. That person has freedom of choice, but you're set free.
So it's difficult sometimes to forgive people for things that in the big picture are really very small. They didn't list their house with my husband, or they said something that offended me, or they cut me off in traffic. But you're speaking about forgiveness on a scale that most of us can't really comprehend.
Right.
Most of us can comprehend the forgiveness like the angers that I have. But you're talking about a global scale of forgiveness. Can you dive in a little bit to your history and
Yeah.
why? Yeah.
Yeah. So, first of all, I want to go back to when I wrote this book, when God commissioned me to write this book. It was in 2018. I am a survivor of satanic ritual abuse. What that means is that when I was a child, I was left for a couple weeks with a babysitter who belonged to a group of people that tortured missing children, derelicts, etc., to death. It was totally demonic. My parents didn't know what they were doing when they left me with her, and it was beyond horrible. I mean, it's you're 6 years old and you're watching people be murdered, and they tell you, if you tell your parents, they're going to do the same thing to your parents that they've done to these other people, so you can't speak about it. And so I already knew Jesus really well, and I already knew the Father. My parents were atheist Jews. So they taught me to disbelieve in God, but God kept showing up from my childhood in my life again and again and again and again and again. And he actually introduced himself to me through Jesus. And so I had a very strong relationship. And after this terrible thing happened to me, I promised God that when I was older, I would do my part to end such horrible violence. And then in 2018, the Lord took me to Auschwitz, and Birkenau was the killing camps in Auschwitz, and they killed 20,000 people a day. And I'm sitting there, and I've got ashes in my hands, and somebody hands me the inner sole of a woman's shoe that would have been from all the way back then. And she
Oh,
hands it to me, and
gosh.
I'm going to break. And what happens when you go through the demonic stuff I went through as a child is that your mind shatters. And I said to the Lord, I'm going to shatter again. I can't handle this.
Oh,
And what do I do? And he said, you forgive. And it
wow.
wasn't human
Wow.
forgiveness that came over me. I forgave everyone, everything. I forgave all the Nazis, all the people during World War II. I forgave the Jews who didn't leave when they could have left. I forgave every kind of abuse. Then it went out to all the current atrocities. I was walking up and down Birkenau, forgiving all the people who do all kinds of evil all over the world, forgiving the people who hate for no reason other than Satan has controlled them, and just
Wow.
moving into this new realm. And then the Lord said, now you will write the book of your life and how you got free from the demonic oppression.
Wendy, oh my goodness, we talk about scratching the surface. We have so much more to cover. I suggest that you buy the book. It's just absolutely incredible. I want to ask you practically in about 30 seconds, how do people begin the process of forgiving if they've been abused?
It comes through that faith in God. You can't forgive like this unless you trust in something that is pure and that's holy and that loves and that wants to take care of you. When you forgive like this, you forgive to let in the beauty, the glory, the love of the one who's greater than all your problems. And so you're
Wow.
making an exchange. When Yeshua went to the cross, he made an exchange. You're partnering with that exchange. And you're saying, here is my cross. I hand it to you. Give me back my life.
Wendy, a final note. Please, we had a little bit of music coming in and we're going to play music on the end. Share in just a couple seconds. What is this music? How did you create it and why?
So I've been doing this for decades, and it's just God plays music through me. I don't know how else to explain it.
It's
I
beautiful.
am trained, but I sit down at the piano or the keyboard, and God pours out music through me as if it was a prophetic word to bless people, as if it was singing in tongues, to bless people with whatever message He has for them.
Wendy's book, her name, Wendy Cohen, wrote Freedom, True Freedom Lasts Forever. You can get that on Amazon. How can people get a hold of your music?
The best way is to contact me. They can go to my YouTube site, and that is Music from the River of God, and then by Wendy Cohen. Otherwise,
Very
you'll
good.
get around and round. So, Music from the
Okay.
River of God by Wendy Cohen. And I have a blog site, etc. If people want to contact me, why don't you contact me on Facebook? And then I can connect you in with my blog site and other things that I do. I also go
Wonderful.
out and teach. So that's the way.
Yes, and speak. So you
I
can,
go out and teach and speak.
yes.
Yes.
Wendy, thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank
Blessings.
you so much. Blessings.